Hey, this is Sarah Pritchard, Confidence Coach for Women, and welcome to day number 3 of the Spring into Confidence series. So I am excited, as always, to drop some gems on you today, sis. So I hope that you are ready. I hope that you have had an opportunity to go back and watch the first 2 videos in the series. If you haven't, I just encourage you to go back and scroll. I'm going to say stroll. And scroll back through. The first one is about how to release mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual weight from yourself. And then the second one is about how you can reposition and release and redefine and really let go of old negative beliefs that you have been carrying as you have been navigating on this journey that we call life. So today we're going to focus on how you can, kind of take your own power back and put the focus back on yourself and kind of step into your power. Because it's so easy in our society and in the world to get lost in the sauce of social media, to get lost in a relationship with a man or with friendships. It's so easy to get lost in our work and our career and our business and what it is that we do. And sometimes we can get this lost in our own mindset so much that it's so clouded. It's very difficult for us to even hear God, right? So we could be praying all the time for our purpose, but we have so much mental clutter that it's often very difficult for us to really understand what's going on. It makes it harder for us to hear what God is saying to us or what he's trying to say, or we misinterpret things and we don't understand. So that's telling me that this is a time where we as women need to learn how to put the attention back on us, how to take our own power back, and how we can step up fiercely, confidently, and be empowered women who have the opportunity to not give away so much to everybody else, so much so that we lose who we are, or we have so much mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual clutter that we're unable to navigate the world in the way that we need to, because that doesn't feel good. Trust me, I know. I know. That's why I love doing this work, because I've been there. I've done that. I know it. I understand it. And what I need you to understand is that every season of your life, and I've shared this through the last challenge, every new season of your life is going to require a new version of yourself, which means it's going to cost you, right? If you want to put that focus back on you, that's going to cost you in some way. And I'm not just talking about money, right? It's going to cost some things that you're going to have to give up. And the thing that you have to really be intentional about is knowing that when it's comes a time you feel like you need to release and give something up, make sure you're really ready to release this shit and give it up. Because once you get to the place where you go through elimination and you're moving into a phase of preparation doesn't always feel good, because there's a lot of work that is involved once you have released something and given it up. So oftentimes we think about what it's going to cost us in terms of money, but really the cost is it's going to cost you the doubt that you've been having, the fear, right? If you want to step out of your comfort zone, that's going to cost you that fear that you've been holding on to. Right? It could cost you insecurities. It can cost you from settling. It can, cost you from being, complacent, right? And kind of where you are, right? Which is comfortable, and it might feel good in the now, right? But there's really things and visions and dreams, and I know things that you want to accomplish and people you want to see and places you want to go. But we don't realize just how much our mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional clutter that we carry, just how much it weighs us down, how much it ties us down. So it makes it very difficult for us to put ourselves first or put the focus on us. It's so much easier to focus on the next project at work. It's so much easier to focus on your son or your daughter and what you need to do for them for the holidays, or what you're going to do with them for the summer, what you're going to do with them for Christmas or whatever. It's easier. It makes it so much easier to put your everything into a man and overdo for him, right? So that he's happy or whatever the case may be, instead of putting that energy and that focus back on you. And something I need you to think about, right? That especially if you have chosen to watch this video or even go through this series, which means this tells me that you're in a certain season of your life. And I think one thing we need to understand about seasons is that every season has a start date. Every season has an end date. Hey, Kendra. So every season has a start date. Every season has an end date. And if you are watching this, that's telling me that you're in a season where it's time for you to heal, to evolve, and to grow. It's time for you to release some old shit. It's time for you to reposition some ish. And then it's time for you to almost be reawakened in a way. It's time for you to almost redefine a huge part of yourself or a huge part of your life. It's really time that you rise up and you stand in your power firmly. And how do you get to a place where you can rise or you can resurrect, right? So let's get into my little Easter teaching for today, right? And I'll reiterate it again. Every next level is going to cost you. And there's a process that we go through: elimination, preparation, manifestation. But today I want to use it in different terms, especially given the time that we're in. But think about it this way. There's going to be a death. There's going to be a rebirth. There's going to be a resurrection. Sound familiar? There's going to be a death. There's going to be a rebirth. There's going to be a resurrection. And when you put the focus back on yourself, let's get into the death part. That's the first part of it. Like I said, it's going to cost you something. But the good part is I need you to identify the dead things that need to go, that need to be killed off from yourself, from your mindset. What of that emotional, mental, physical clutter, even spiritual clutter is dead or needs to be killed off? That's weighing you down. That's the first thing. That's the death part of the whole situation. And part of putting the focus back on you. When you have your attention everywhere else, a lot of times we don't want to sit in the quiet. And I feel like I talked about this yesterday in yesterday's video, because we don't want to hear or we don't want to, I guess, accept. Sometimes we're in denial that some things about ourselves have already died off, or that there are dead end relationships in our life that need to be gone and we need to release and let go, right? Or that we're in a dead end job that really is not in alignment with our purpose, or, we don't recognize that there's also old dead beliefs that we're still believing, but it's driving our lives, right? And you can go back to our video from yesterday to learn more about that. So I need you to identify what are the dead things that really need to go so that you can move into this new season and really step into your power. Because a powerful woman doesn't have a bunch of dead things around her in her mindset. She doesn't carry a bunch of dead end relationships around her. She's not in a dead end job either, right? Because she knows her purpose and she knows she can step into that powerfully and purposefully, right? So you got to keep that in mind. So it's time for you to let the dead things go. And that's the first thing. That's self-love, right? That's putting that focus back on yourself, because everything is not for you. And depending on the season that you're in, everybody and everything is not meant to go into the next season. It's not meant to go into the next level, given where your destiny is going. But on the flip side of that, there are some things that you have allowed to die off, that you need to resurrect and that you need to bring back. Hey, Karina, how are you? There's a number of ladies who I've been talking to, and they all said that you recommended them. So thank you. Right. So as I was saying, so Karina, we're talking about, putting the focus back on yourself and really stepping into your power. So we're talking about this process of death, rebirth, and resurrection. Sound familiar? Who went through that process? The same thing is true for us, depending on the season that we're in, and depending on where God's trying to take us, and depending on how open you are as a woman to go into the next level or doing what God wants you to do, versus you being safe and comfortable and complaining about where you are and where you're settling in, right? So we're talking about death, and that you need to identify where are some of the places that there are dead things, that there are dead relationships, that are dead end jobs, that are dead connections that you really just need to let go. Because oftentimes we hang on because we think there's hope. That's just how we are as women. But I was moving into the other side, that there are some things you have killed off yourself, or you have, allowed to kind of shrivel up and die. That could be your worthiness. That could be your value, right? That could be your self-esteem. That could be, your beauty in terms of not fully taking care of that could be your body if you're not fully taking care of it. And it's slowly but surely dying, then that means that's something you need to revive. That's something you need to tend to. That's something you need to give your attention to. So it's almost like the death on both sides. So what are some dead things, I was supposed to look at me about the cuss, that need to go? But also, what are some things that you killed off that you need to bring back, such as your worthiness, such as your value, such as your purpose? You've allowed that dream to die because you tried it once and then you failed and then you don't want to do it again. It's time for you to revive that and resurrect that. We'll get to that in a second. But anyway, again, the first step is always going to be there's going to be a death, and death does not always feel good. Obviously, there's a mourning period. Obviously, there's a point where you're, doubting, worrying, whatever the case may be. But ultimately, that when something does die and it does go away, it opens up the room for the next thing. So once there's death, then we go through rebirth, right? And rebirth for you in this context is simply you focusing on what you now need to commit to as you are reborn, right? If you're, let's think about birth in general. For one, a birth is messy, right? And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. A birth can be messy. And then the rebirth means something's emergent, but that would mean that there's something that you have to have been pregnant with that's deep inside of you that you're trying to birth into vision. And it's time for it to come out, because once you let go of the dead stuff, or you make a decision, I'm going to revive, or I want to make a commitment to revive my wholeness or my worthiness, because that's something that maybe over the last couple of years, maybe it hasn't been as high, or hasn't been as full at the level it needs to be. It's something that you need to revive. Then once you get to that place, it's time for you to go through the rebirth process, which means that you need to make a commitment to repositioning your heart and your mind, right? It's about you making a commitment to reposition your heart and reposition your mind. Because once you let the dead things go, you got to get that heart in alignment. You got to get that mind in alignment. And if the heart is something that's struggling, then that's something you need to surrender over to God and say, God, I'm ready to put myself first. I'm ready to put the attention back on me. I need you to heal my heart, Lord. My heart is open. My heart is surrendered to you. Help me rebirth this thing. Help me get into this wholeness again, right? That's the heart. And then the mind is no different, right? This goes back to the Spring Clean Your Life Challenge that we just went through for those who participated, where I said you need to, if you have a hard time uprooting the old negative beliefs that you have, or letting go of some of the dead, especially like a dead end relationship, those can be the hardest shit to let go because you have the soul ties attached to it. God, I need you to help me uproot this stuff because it's not going to drive me. It ain't going to drive me. And I promise you, Lord, if you allow me to, right, I'm going to go out here. I'm going to step into my purpose. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to turn up and I'm going to change the world. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to be in such a position that I'm going to be so open to whatever that is that you have for me, that you can use me the way that you need to. But Lord, I need you to help me uproot this. Right? That's how you get into a place of rebirth, right? And rebirth, even when, someone has a baby, who's usually there? It could be a doctor. It can be a doula. There's somebody there that's helping you through the process. What greater person is it to have you when you go through that rebirth after you've experienced the death and you've let that go, than having God as the one that's going to guide that rebirthing experience, that's going to help you bring that vision that you have that you're really pregnant with and bring that to fruition. Who better to help you birth that and let that out? And even when it gets messy, even when it gets hard, even when you got to push, right? And I've never birthed a kid, but honey, I done watched it and it's a lot. But think about it, even when you got to push, even when it gets hard, not saying that rebirthing, obviously rebirthing it sounds like a beautiful thing. It sounds like a happy time. But that doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, right? Even think about rebirth in terms of the season it's usually associated with is typically the spring. And what is it? April showers bring May flowers. There's going to be some rain. There's going to be some storms. But after the storm is always what? It's going to be the rainbow, right? It's going to be the sunshine, which brings me up to my third part, which is the resurrection. So we done died. We done been reborn. And then it's the resurrection. And the only way you resurrecting is if God help you anyway, right? That's the only way. You don't got a choice. So the resurrection comes where now you're able to rise up and now you're able to step into your power fully, right? But again, you still need God to help aid you in that process of you rising up, right? And when you rise up, this is really the time for you to take risks. This is really the time to step out of that comfort zone. This is really the time for you to do the things that you thought might kill you before, or really, right, that might kill you or harm you, or you're just so afraid of. Now in the resurrection, right, it's something to celebrate. Now you're getting to the manifestation of God's promise, because guess what? You made it through the process and you were okay going through the process, because putting the focus back on yourself, bringing the power back to you means you're going to go through a process. And that means that some other things around you your attention may not be able to be there at that moment, because you need all your attention and God needs all your attention so that he can do the work through you, so that you can come out healed, so that you can come out whole, so that you can come out complete, so you can come out lacking absolutely nothing, right? Because he's going to fill you up as he prepares to take you up higher, as he prepares to make you rise and go to that next level. So this would be the time, once we go through the resurrection and you went through the process and you're in the process of receiving the promise and experiencing the promise, that you're going to do things that maybe you didn't do before, right? Because now you've healed, you've evolved, you've grown. So you're in a space and a place where you can step out into your purpose and in your business in a new way. You can go live every day with no issue. This is the time where you can attract your husband to you, because now you're in alignment. You were patient through the process. You killed some things off that had to die out. You went through the process of rebirth and something. You went through the messy parts. You paid your dues, right? You paid for it. You done sacrificed for it. You done invested in it, whatever the case may be. Now it's time for you to reap. It's time for you to reap the benefits and the goodness that comes from going through death, going through rebirth, and going through resurrection. So again, like I said, this is the time to do things you might not have usually done. That might mean it's time for you to speak your truth. Maybe for the last 20 years, you haven't been able to tell your mom how you really feel. But once you go through this process, baby, you're going to be able to go in there, even if you're uncomfortable. A confident woman can still go in there and say what she needs to do and speak her truth, because she's went through the process and she's received the promise. So now it's okay for her to speak her truth to whoever she needs to. Now it's time for you to go after that job. Now it's time for you to take that leap of faith and leave your job and start your business. Now it's time for you to be able to go out and date again, because you've went through this process. You've learned your life lessons, right? You've repositioned yourself. You now are understanding your purpose. You got your finances in order, or whatever the case may be, right? So this process works for any area of your life. There's a death, there's a rebirth, and a resurrection. That can work for your money. That can work for your honey, right? That can work for your business. That can work for just yourself. Regardless of what area it is, you're always going to be going through the death, the rebirth, the resurrection. Or the way that I teach it to my clients, you're always going through elimination, preparation, and manifestation all the time. So putting the focus back on you sounds exciting, right? To get my power back. But there's a process that you got to go through if you want to fully step in your power and be that woman you desire to be. Hey, Julia, thank you for joining. I'm actually wrapping up before I head over to Instagram. So I was just talking about the process that we have to go through in order to get to the promise that God has for us. He's going to give you the desires of your heart. He's going to help you stand in your power and be this fierce, confident powerhouse of a woman. But you got to be willing to go through the process each time, because every next level is going to require something new. And I talked about going through a death, going through a rebirth, and then going through a resurrection. And if that might not be enough for you, maybe going through elimination, preparation, and manifestation might sound a little bit better for you if you're not really familiar with that language or you don't vibe with it. But either way, it's the same thing, because every season of your life has a start date, it has an end date. And if you are choosing to show up for this series, that means that you're in a season where you feel as though it's time for something new. It's time for me to step up. It's time for me to go through this process maybe in a new way, compared to the way that I've been going through it, right? And I know that there's a promise for me, but I know I need wisdom. I know I need guidance to get me to that other side, because I've been trying this ish for a long time on my own, but I need something new, right? And that's more than likely probably why you're here, or maybe you just like me, you just vibe with me. I don't know. But as we wrap up today, I want to remind you that I'm going to be teaching all of the things I just shared on a much deeper level, right? I have over 300 plus hours worth of never before seen video content, worksheets, techniques, tools, resources that are a part of my Powerfully Positioned Woman Academy, right? And in the very first module, I really deep dive into this topic really deeply, and I even show you some spiritual and biblical things in probably a brand new way compared to the way that you've seen them before, right? And I also go deep into purpose and how you really tap into your soul gifts and how you really step into purpose, but also how do you handle failure that pops up along your journey. Like I said, when you're going through the process to get to the promise, you need wisdom. and you need guidance, especially if you're going to run and have your own business or your own brand that you really want to go to the next level. You need to have some resilient skills and techniques under your tool belt, but you also need to know, how to do things on social media and how to position yourself as that fierce, purposeful woman, right? Part of the academy, we also go into helping you with financial abundance. I help you tap into your money story, because that's something that needs to die off. Usually, if you want to get to a space where you see that bank account looking a little different and you want to see money in a different way, you want to attract money and riches in a different way, then that means you need a mindset shift. There's a death, a rebirth, and a resurrection that definitely comes with the money mindset and the financial abundance. Then from there, we move into mastering sacred relationships. And we all know, like I mentioned earlier, we got some dead-end relationships, some dead-end connections, even with our family and our friends, that need to be cut, need to be severed, because we're ready to vibrate higher. And the higher you go with your vibration, then everybody that's around you is not going to go there, because it's not going to feel good. And if you try to, connect with somebody at that lower vibration, it's going to cause you pain. It's not going to always feel good for you. When you try to lower yourself just to be with that man, and almost like when you settle and you can feel it intuitively, he's not really vibing at your level. That's what it's like. You know how people say, oh, we might be growing apart. Usually that's because one person is vibing higher and the other person might be staying here, but you're moving here, and you can intuitively feel that kind of stuff. Right? Or if you want to attract somebody new to you, you got to vibe at his level. That means you got to heal your heart. That means you need to learn about activation and attraction techniques that you can use to manifest the man that you want, right? So that you are attracting him, right? But you're not forcing him to come in. There's a difference between being a powerful, magnetic woman that can call anything she wants into her versus being a woman that's kind of being forceful and masculine and pulling and driving and doing, overdoing and pulling things into her. There's two different types of energies, and I cover that very in depth as you go through the program. Then we move into strengthening your spiritual and emotional foundation, which is you really deepening your relationship with God. And then lastly, it's all about creating a life you desire, right? And I teach you all types of manifestation techniques and tools that you more than likely have probably never heard of or tried before, that you can use to attract and to bring forth into your life the things that you desire. There's also a master law of attraction coach or manifestation coach, and we also learn from her. We do a book study of her very deeply and thoroughly, where you will really learn what that really means when somebody says to manifest something or to create something. You co-create your life with God. And I think, again, a lot of times we forget that we go through that process with him. So even as we go through the death, we go through the rebirth, we go through the resurrection, we co-creating all of that together to get to the other side. And I think sometimes we forget that in the process. And then the last week of the program, because it's 8 weeks, is Power Week, where you implement everything that I give you into 1 week so that you have an opportunity to practice it, so that once the program is over, that you still have lifetime access to everything, but now you almost have got it ingrained in you that this is your new system. This is the way that you now flow and operate in the universe and in the world. And I promise you, things will be shifting and changing, just like my clients who've already went through the program, right? Who've had the opportunity to attract new clients, who've had the opportunity to get new job opportunities, who've had the opportunity to get married, right? You will start to flow in the things that are right for you if you properly learn how to position yourself as the powerful woman that you know you desire to be, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your love life, whether that's with your money, or all of the above. Either way, you're going to dip and dabble in it, right? And then there's a number of fierce bonuses. I didn't even mention you get my book. You get Magnetic Women Boot Camp as a bonus, which is a $300 value all by itself. You get my Fierce Mindset Mastery book list. You get my Daily Confident Meditation audio. And then also you get 2 calls with me as well. I believe there's 60-minute calls that you can have with me. And if you're out of the country, like some of my clients, we will hop on Zoom. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but we hop on, we do a face-to-face, but I can see you and you can't just see me, and we talk, and we kind of unpack some stuff, right? Because once you start going through the program, shit's going to start popping up. And you're going to start feeling like that. You're going to start feeling that death process and that rebirth as soon as you begin, right? Because one of my clients who's going through now, she had to take a pause 1 week before. She was like, hold up, pause. She was like, this is deep, but this is good, because I never thought about myself this deeply. I didn't even know that I was attracting this. I didn't even know I was doing this. I didn't even know I ended up in this relationship all this time. And I'm just sitting here settling, and you just brought it up to me, right? So I was like, wow, that's deep, right? So the work that we need to do, the death, the rebirth, the resurrection, it's all for a reason, and it's all purposeful, right? But it's important to have somebody guide you through it. It's important to have somebody to give you accountability. It's important to learn from someone who's already been through the process, who can break it down for you and guide you through it depending on where it is that you need to go. So if you go to bit.ly/Power Academy, you can check out the testimonials. You can check out every module. You can check out every bonus, so that you can go ahead and sign up before I close the doors tomorrow at midnight, right? Is the time that we are shutting down. There is a payment plan. For those that are interested, the cost is $997, but I don't want you to necessarily think about in cost in terms of the actual financial cost. Just so you know, there's a 4 payment option. There's a 6 month payment option as well. So you really can start today for as low as $167 if you so feel moved to begin the process, right? You just never know. But it's more so not necessarily what it's going to cost you in terms of your finances. It's more so what it's going to cost you to not sign up. Because it's 30 days from now, 60 days from now, a year from now, if I talk to you or you on my live and you're still struggling with your purpose and your business is still not where it needs to be, then I'm going to punch you in the neck. Okay? Or if you're still struggling with relationships, but I done offered you, I'm thinking about a certain person in my head now, resource after resource, but you don't want to invest in it, it's nothing I can do. Right? I've paid my dues many times over. I put in a lot of time and energy. You can even ask my client, Cheryl, who went through Powerfully Positioned Woman Academy. Even in her testimonial, she said, like, Tara really outdid herself. I remember her emailing me, like, when did you have time to put all this together? Child, I don't even know, because I do so many things. But last summer, I made it my business to create something stellar and fantastic, better than anything I've ever created before. And it's highly detailed, right? I have over 300 plus hours of, like, I was going in on them videos. Videos is over 20 minutes long. You're going to be like, damn. You like she said, you definitely outdid yourself and gave a lot of value as we went through, right? So think about what it's going to cost you to not sign up. Not, oh, this is going to charge me this, is going to charge me that. Okay, then stop getting your coffee every morning, you know, at Wawa or at Starbucks, depending on where you live, what coast you live on. If that's necessary, do what you got to do. If you know, you've been, like, I know I got cable, I don't even use it, right? So that was me. Maybe I need to cut that bill for, you know, because I don't even use it. And that money that I'm not spending, I think my bill is all near $300 and I don't even watch it. Ridiculous, right? Something I need to cut goes into your money story, right? Something that needs to be cut, I could be investing that back into myself if I really wanted to. And I've made those kind of sacrifices when my friends will be out traveling. They be down in the Bahamas, the Caribbean. Good for them. But guess what? I wasn't there because I would sacrifice, you know, the money that I had saved up or that I had to invest in my business or invest in myself. But now I have the same people struggling. You are all these vacations struggling, having a hard time with career and purpose because you didn't invest in yourself. I'm all for investing in an experience to have a great time. And best believe, baby, I'll be going on my experiences without an issue. But not only am I going to have that experience, but I'm also going and I'm going to be a whole woman. I'm going to be a purposeful woman. I'm going to be a magnetic and radiant woman where I have my business in order, my purpose in order as I'm doing those things, right? So it's all about, you know, thinking about it as an investment, thinking about it in terms of, you know, what are you going to gain, not what are you going to lose, or what do you even have to sacrifice, but that's a part of the game. So don't look at another woman and say, well, why does she have this, or why does she get to do that, or why does she have that following, or how does she get to do that, when you have no idea the amount of sacrifice or work that she is putting in, or what she's invested in. Mind, money, time, energy to become the woman that she is. You have absolutely no idea. So if you are committed to investing into yourself and you have already counted the cost in terms of what it's going to cost you, right? You need to let it. You need to let go of the doubt. You need to let go of the fear. You need to let go of the insecurities, the unworthiness, you know, of the incompleteness, of the not being whole. All that, that's a cost. And that's costing you right now. It's costing you moving higher into purpose. It's costing you the relationships that you really want and need. It's costing you peace and happiness, right? And I'd rather it cost you $100 and some than it costs you your peace and your happiness and your own home or wherever you are, right? Which one? Weigh your options, right? Make a pro-con list. Think about it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at tara@unleashyourfierce.com, or you can also leave a comment or message me as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you participated in the challenge, then you can also redeem your discount code coupon if you email me as well, and I'll be glad to help you out, right? So again, I hope that you have enjoyed. Remember that every single season has a beginning and an ending. And as a result, there's always going to be a death, a rebirth, and a resurrection. And that's never going to get old. It's a journey and a process that you got to go through over and over again. So in your money area, in your love area, in your confidence, it's always going to be happening. The goal for you is to learn how to handle that so that when it does arise and it's time, you know that something has to die off, you got to let something go. You're prepared for your position. It doesn't throw you off. And in fact, you welcome it because you know what's on the other side. It's the promise. It's that thing that you're going to manifest on the other side. And you're okay going through the process. Not only that, you can then begin to teach this process to other women. You can teach it to your daughter. You can teach it to your nieces. You can teach it to people at the church. Because guess what? When you know better, you do better. Right? And then you're able to present better, and that flows to other people. And that's how we change the world. It's not just about us, you and me. That's how we change everything. It starts with one person. So I learned it, so I transfer it to you, then you transfer it to somebody else. And then we keep going until we got everybody healed. We got everybody whole. We got everybody complete. We got everybody, evolving, right? To vibrate at the higher level and come up a little bit higher. To come up higher and to flourish and to vibe at a higher level. So thank you. I appreciate the love. Again, go to bit.ly/Power Academy. And I look forward to working with you. If you decide that you are going to join, it will not be opening up for the next couple of months because my speaking schedule is pretty intense and I just will not have the time. So this will be the last opportunity for a couple of months to enroll, just so you know as well. All right. Have a good night. Bye.